So I want you to picture a conference room.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Let's say there are 100 nonprofit leaders just sitting there,
Right.
and you ask them to raise their hand if they are currently using artificial intelligence in their organization in any capacity.
Right.
As of right now, February 2026, 92 hands go up.
Basically the entire room.
The entire room.
Yeah, I mean, we are well past the early adopter phase. We are firmly in the everybody is doing it phase. It's total saturation.
Right. But then, and this is where it gets interesting, you ask a second question. You say, keep your hand up if that AI usage is actually making a significant, measurable difference in your work.
And that is a record scratch.
Exactly. The hands just drop. 85 of them go down. You are left with 7 hands.
Just 7%.
7%.
The famous 92-7 gap.
It's a staggering discrepancy.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we are unpacking today on this deep dive.
I'm excited for this one.
Me too. We're looking at the state of AI in the nonprofit sector for early 2026. We're pulling from the latest AI field notes and that massive Bridging the Gap report.
Yeah, the Virtuous report.
Right. And our mission today is pretty simple. We need to figure out why everyone is at the party, but only 7% people are actually having any fun.
Or, put it more professionally, why 92% are spinning their wheels while 7% are completely transforming their impact.
Exactly. And stick around, because later we're going to look at a case study involving something called the invisible skills gap, which honestly might be the most optimistic, human-centric use of technology I have seen in years.
It's a fantastic story.
But we have to eat our vegetables first. We had to solve this gap.
We do. Because it's the most important problem to solve right now. Usually when we see a gap like this in tech adoption where a tiny sliver of the market is winning, we assume it's a resource issue.
Yep.
We assume the 7% are the massive foundations with huge endowments.
That was my first assumption. I figured the 7% are running some high-end, enterprise-grade, I don't know, GPT-6 that the rest of us just can't afford.
Right, but the data says no.
Wow.
The report analyzes 346 organizations from December 2025, and the surprising finding is that the 7% are using the exact same tools as the 92%.
The exact same ones.
The same large language models, the same image generators, the same automation platforms.
So it's not the hardware.
It's the wetware. It's human behavior. It's a methodology problem. The report identifies 3 distinct habits that separate the winners from the strugglers. And honestly, the first habit is the one that most people are going to groan at.
Oh, boy. Lay it on us.
Governance.
Yeah, I can hear everyone tuning out already. Governance sounds like a committee meeting that lasts 4 hours and accomplishes absolutely nothing.
I know. It sounds like pure bureaucracy. But the report uses a really sticky analogy here that changes how you view it. They call it the building code.
Okay, help me out with that. Because how does a building code help me innovate? Isn't a code just a massive list of things I can't do?
Think about it this way. If you want to build a little garden shed in your backyard, you can just grab a hammer and go crazy.
Sure.
You don't need a permit. But if you want to build a skyscraper, you need a code. The code isn't there to stop you from building. It's there so that you can build high without the thing collapsing on your head.
Oh, I like that. So it provides the safety structure that allows for scale.
Precisely. The data shows that the 92%, the ones who are struggling, often have no policy at all.
Wow.
So their staff is paralyzed. They don't know if they can put donor data into ChatGPT. They don't know if they can use AI for grant writing.
So they just do nothing.
They do nothing, or they do it in the shadows.
Shadow AI.
Right, which is incredibly risky. Whereas the 7% establish what the report calls enabling policies. And that's a critical distinction.
Enabling policies.
Yeah, restrictive policy is a list of don'ts. And enabling policy is a clear set of, yes, you can do this.
So it creates psychological safety.
It's permission to drive. If you know exactly where the guardrails are, you can drive the car much faster. And the report says this doesn't need to be a 100-page legal tome. The most effective organizations often just have a one-page document.
One page.
One page created in a single meeting. It answers just 3 questions.
Okay, 3 questions. That seems manageable.
Question 1, what is encouraged? Explicitly tell your team, we want you using AI for brainstorming, for drafting emails, for summarizing meeting notes.
Okay, so you're not just tolerating it, you're actually pushing it.
Exactly. Question 2, what requires approval?
Like what?
Maybe that's something like generating public-facing images or writing code that interacts with the main website, things with external risk.
Makes sense. And question 3.
What is off limits? And this is usually the big one. Donor data,
Right.
personally identifiable information, PII.
That seems like the third rail. You touch that, you die.
For now, yes. Unless you're using a secure, closed-loop enterprise system, you absolutely do not feed your donor list into a public model. But by defining that red line clearly, you free people up to play in the rest of the sandbox.
Okay, so habit 1 is write the code. Don't let it be the Wild West. What is habit 2?
Habit 2 is the shift from vibes to data.
Vibes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You ask a staff member, is AI helping you? And they say, oh yeah, writing this email felt way faster.
Right.
That's a vibe. That is anecdotal evidence. The 7% are not relying on feelings. They are measuring concrete outcomes.
But how do you measure better writing? That feels so subjective.
You don't measure the writing itself, you measure the result of the writing or the capacity it frees up. The report cites a specific organization that doubled their prospect research capacity.
Doubled.
2 times the output. Before, a researcher might spend 4 hours digging through tax forms and LinkedIn profiles to build a dossier on a potential donor. With AI agents, they cut that time in half. That is a hard metric.
And that links to another point the report made, which I found really interesting. It talked about reallocating staff time from execution to strategy.
That is the holy grail right there.
But that's hard to measure, isn't it? Strategy feels like a buzzword.
It is hard, which is why it requires a baseline. You have to know where your time is going now. The methodology recommendation here is to take a baseline measurement of your team's output and then measure it again every 3 to 6 months.
Oh.
If you aren't seeing the needle move on things like number of donors contacted or campaign conversion rates, then you are just playing with toys. You aren't optimizing. If it's not working, you retool.
You can't optimize what you don't measure.
Exactly. And this leads directly into habit 3, which is probably the most difficult one to pull off culturally.
Okay.
Treating AI as infrastructure.
Define infrastructure in this context. Because to me, that sounds like servers and cables and things I really don't want to deal with.
In this context, it means institutional capability. See, for the majority of nonprofits, that 65–70% AI use is reactive and individual.
Meaning what?
It's Jane in marketing using Claude to write a blog post. It's Bob in development using ChatGPT for a personal task. It's personal productivity.
It's a tool in a tool belt.
Right. But for the 7%, it is a factory line. It is documented workflows. It's shared processes. It's a cross-functional team that meets regularly to decide how the entire organization uses these tools. Leadership treats it as a team capability.
You mentioned cross-functional. The report was pretty adamant about not just handing this to the IT department. Why is that? I mean, it is technology.
It is tech, but the application is deeply human. If you give it to IT, they'll focus on security, deployment, and integration, which is great.
Vital, even.
Yes, but IT does not know how to talk to a major donor. IT does not know the nuance of your program delivery in Kenya.
So you need the subject matter experts in the room.
You need the people who do the work to design the workflow. The report uses the analogy of power tools. You need to know when to use a skill saw and when to use a drill. If you just hand everyone a drill because IT says drills are secure, you are going to have a lot of terrible carpentry.
That's a great point. So to recap the habits of the 7%, we have governance, the building code, we have measurement, data over vibes, and infrastructure, treating it as a team capability, not an individual toy.
That's the roadmap to crossing the gap.
So before we move to our case study, which I'm really excited about, I want to hit a few emerging patterns the report flagged. These are quick hits on what's coming down the pipe.
Sure, let's do it.
First one, predictive donor accuracy. The new data from Unifor is claiming 65 to 75% accuracy.
It is getting scary good.
What does that actually mean, though? Accuracy in what?
Forecasting the next gift from repeat donors. So looking at a donor's behavior, their email opens, their event attendance, past giving, and predicting not just if they will give, but when and how much.
And it's hitting 75%.
Yeah.
That changes budgeting entirely. That turns fundraising from an art into a science.
It does, and it allows you to stop spamming people who aren't ready to give and focus entirely on the ones who are.
Second quick hit, physical AI. The robots are here.
The Unitree H2 humanoid robot. It's officially available in North America now.
I feel like every time we talk about robots in the nonprofit sector, it sounds like science fiction. But the report says this is becoming a serious logistics conversation.
We are moving from robots are cool to robots can carry 50 pounds of rice over uneven terrain. For disaster relief organizations or elderly care, this is becoming a real last-mile conversation.
Wow.
It's not about replacing humans. It's about going where humans can't safely go or doing the lifting that literally breaks human backs.
Incredible. And finally, the Global AI Impact Commons in New Delhi.
This is crucial for global cooperation. It's an initiative to stop nonprofits from reinventing the wheel.
Awesome.
If a team in Brazil builds a great AI model for analyzing crop yields, a team in Kenya shouldn't have to build it from scratch. It's about sharing code and models as a public good.
Which is actually the perfect segue to our deep dive case study, because this story is the very definition of a digital public good. We're talking about a project called Compass, developed by a nonprofit out of Oxford University called Tabiya.
This story honestly reframed how I think about AI entirely. We spend so much time worrying that AI is going to take our jobs or devalue human skill. This is a story about AI finding value that human systems completely missed.
So let's set the stage with the core problem here, the invisible skills gap.
Right. The report introduces us to a persona named Maria. Maria is a composite character, but she represents about 1 billion young people globally who are entering the workforce.
1 billion.
Yes. And Maria works incredibly hard. She has years of experience in domestic work. She cares for her elderly neighbors. She volunteers.
She's probably working 12, 14 hours a day.
Easily. But here's the problem. When Maria sits down to write a CV or a resume to apply for a formal job, she freezes.
Because she has no job titles.
Exactly. The modern labor market is utterly obsessed with formal titles. Project manager, financial analyst, logistics coordinator. If you haven't held the formal title, the traditional system assumes you just don't have the skill.
It's a language barrier.
Right.
She speaks life experience, and the market speaks HR jargon.
That's a great way to put it. And this disproportionately affects women. The data shows women spend 2.8 more hours per day on unpaid care work than men do.
That's huge over a lifetime.
It's years of labor.
Yeah.
Managing complex schedules, resolving conflicts, budgeting, these are high-level skills, but they remain completely invisible to a recruiter because they didn't happen in an office building.
So enter Tabiya. They partnered with Google.org, and they built Compass.
Yeah.
How exactly does it work?
Well, usually if you use a resume builder, it asks you to paste your LinkedIn or list your previous employers. Compass does not do that. It starts a chat.
A chat, like on a phone?
An open-source AI career counselor on a mobile phone. Instead of asking for a job title, it asks questions like, tell me about a time you solved a difficult problem, or walk me through how you organize your day.
Oh, wow. So it treats it like a behavioral interview, not a tax form.
Right. And as Maria types or speaks her story, maybe she talks about coordinating her neighbors' doctor appointments and managing their medication. The AI is running in the background, and it is mapping that conversation to something called the Inclusive Livelihoods Taxonomy.
Okay, that is a mouthful.
It is, but the concept is brilliant. Think of it as a translation dictionary. It takes the phrase, I manage my neighbor's meds and doctors, and translates it into formal skills like complex case management and logistics planning.
It translates lived experience into professional language.
Yes, and at the end, it generates a professional CV and a skills profile for Maria based purely on that lived experience. But, and this is the killer feature, it is completely transparent.
What do you mean by transparent?
It doesn't just say, you are good at negotiation. The AI actually explains why it identified that skill. It links it back to her specific statements. It says, you have negotiation skills because of that story you told about mediating the dispute at the community center.
Oh, I love that. It validates her experience. It proves it to her.
It gives her the language to sell herself,
Mm-hmm.
and the impact is just wild. In the pilot, they reached 8,000 job seekers in just 7 months, and they do it at a quarter of the cost of traditional career counseling.
That's amazing. And where is it now?
Now it is being used in 5 countries, reaching 5 million youth. And the key insight here is that Tabiya didn't commercialize it.
Right, it's open source.
It is digital public infrastructure. They made the code open so governments and other NGOs can just take it and use it to help their own populations.
I really love the philosophical takeaway the report makes about this specific case. It said, the goal wasn't automation, it was recognition.
That line hit me hard. We usually use technology to automate things, to just make execution faster. Tabiya used AI to see better. Technology didn't create new value for Maria. It helped the market see the value that was already there.
It totally challenges the definition of unskilled labor, doesn't it?
It suggests there really is no such thing as unskilled labor. There are only unrecognized skills.
That is such a powerful place to land. But I want to wrap up with one final concept from the notes from the field section. It's basically a warning. They call it magic versus management.
Ah, yes. The trap.
We have all felt it. You open up a new AI tool, you type in a quick prompt, and boom, it creates a slide deck in 3 minutes or writes a whole grant proposal. It feels like magic.
It triggers a massive dopamine hit. It's genuinely fun, and that is exactly why 92% of organizations are using it. They get addicted to the magic.
But the 7%, the ones actually seeing impact, they did something different.
They felt the magic, but then they did something that feels totally counterintuitive. They hit the brakes.
They just stopped.
They paused. They said, wow, this is incredibly powerful. But if we don't manage this, it's going to be chaos.
It's the difference between setting off fireworks and building a power plant. Fireworks are fun and magical, but they do not keep the lights on in your city.
That is the perfect analogy. Management is boring. Governance policies are boring.
Wow.
Documenting workflows is boring. But management is what allows the magic to compound.
Right.
If you just stay in the magic phase, you get these random, unpredictable bursts of efficiency. But if you are willing to step away from the magic long enough to build a little management, you get true institutional transformation.
So to recap everything, the 92.7 gap is closed by governance, by measuring outcomes, and by treating AI as infrastructure. If you are listening to this and you are part of that 92%, if you are feeling the magic but you aren't seeing the impact, it doesn't take much to shift. Stop being a fan, start being a manager. Write the building code.
Measure the baseline.
Yes. And look for the invisible value in your organization.
Yeah.
I want to leave you, our listener, with a final thought inspired by that Tabiya story. We spend so much time in this sector trying to fit things into neat little boxes, job titles, donor categories, rigid impact metrics. But if we stop looking for those formal categories and instead use this technology to widen our lens, what other invisible assets or strengths in our communities might finally come into focus?
That is the question we should all be asking.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Take that question with you, and we will catch you on the next Deep Dive.